Breaking news, Liverpool fans. Martin Zubimendi is linked with a switch to the club. A bit of a shock. Recently, we have had reports come out from David Ornstein saying Liverpool are targeting a specialist defensive midfielder who doesn't play in England. And then a couple days after that, this story comes to light. And it's not just Ornstein or just Fabrizio or just Paul Joyce reporting. It's all three of them. So really, we have three extremely reliable journalists for Liverpool reporting about this. Fabrizio, an hour ago, tweeting, Liverpool are exploring a move for Zubimendi with 60 million euros, the release clause. If they can't negotiate below that, they're going to have to pay the release clause in full, according to David Ornstein, as he says here. Other clubs haven't managed to convince Martin Zubimendi to leave the club in the past, who have expressed interest in the midfielder, specifically because he's happy in Spain. He's happy with Real Sociedad. And that does kind of, muddy up things, I guess. It's not necessarily at all guaranteed even that personal terms will be agreed. And this is a fee in the ballpark of 60 mil, so it's not a small transfer fee whatsoever. The concern is more so, not even concern, but the question becomes, why is this being reported about Liverpool when there hasn't been really any transfer activity? And now all of a sudden we're getting some very credible links. We don't really operate in public in terms of transfer business. Michael Edwards has never really been that way, and I wouldn't imagine Richard Hughes would operate differently. Here is a bit of details from the David Ornstein Athletic article with some analysis here from Andy Jones, who goes on to talk about why Liverpool have gone in with some kind of interest for Zubimendi. Specifically, that this bit right here about how, Slot used Endo, Szoboszlai, and Gravenberch in number 6 in the 3 preseason friendlies during the U.S. tour. The latter two impressed, but Endo struggled and was a substitute against Arsenal and Manchester United. And how McAllister and Bajcetic could fit into those roles as options. Bajcetic obviously coming back from a long 18-month injury. Some growing pains to my knowledge in terms of like I believe it was a shin issue. But why would Liverpool go out and want to get him? Well, the new head coach's style is more possession-based than his predecessor and requires more of a technical controller as their number 6 than a destroyer. Zubimendi has been identified as someone who can fit that role, as his attributes are that of something the Slot is looking forward. So, let's look at his stats since we're here. And before we kind of continue, there's definitely somewhere here that's probably on Transfermarkt, right? Yes, so iDub Global, to my knowledge, if you go and you look at iDub Global, and you look at some of these managers, right, that are managed specifically by iDub Global, this management agency for for quite a few players out in Spain, it seems. You'll see at the top of the list, Martin Zubimendi is their top client. There's other players in there that, could be maybe of interest for other people. But in terms of pure market value, he's at the very top. He is at the top of Liverpool's list as well. And if you go down here to the client's managers, you'll see two familiar faces here, Xabi Alonso and Andoni Iraola. Now, Xabi, obviously former Liverpool player, doesn't really have much doesn't really fit into this story here, besides the fact that he, did play once for Liverpool. But Andoni Iraola is interesting because Andoni Iraola, obviously coach of Bournemouth, formerly coach of Rayo Vallecano, he has links to Richard Hughes. Him and Richard Hughes are close, and to my knowledge, for what I've been reading, Andoni Iraola and Richard Hughes, based on their relationship, worked a lot with iDub Global, have close connections to iDub Global. So maybe Richard Hughes, who does speak Spanish, if I'm not mistaken as well, so a bit of a linguist there. So as our new kind of, main guy on transfers, this could be maybe an area where he kind of flexes some of his connections. He does obviously have a connection to Areola, who is easily, I'd say, the second best manager on their clients list. Maybe something happens, but I am more so kind of impressed by these articles coming out all at the same time, because usually that doesn't happen. Liverpool doesn't just go out and release a story for the joke of it. Zubimendi, if we look at his stats here, as you can see, this is why I'm kind of curious on this. He's described as more of a controlling midfielder, like controlling DM. But if you look at it, I mean, at least statistically speaking, it doesn't really like inspire too much confidence. I mean, there's a lot of progressive passes for sure. There's a lot of aerials and clearances, but this kind of statistical breakdown, besides tackles and blocks, is kind of that of, I mean, the interceptions are high. I wish the passes were a bit higher. The goals are good from like a deep lying midfield spot, but it's like his similar players. Tchouaméni is in there, Wataruendo, Sanderberga. He is someone who is, if he should come into Liverpool, he is going to provide a different option without a doubt. And it's not like, even if we look at Wataruendo, so like remember this, and now if we go and look at Endo is still like he's a lot less, I guess, in terms of, I mean, he's more defensive, it seems, right? Just purely. And even in terms of passing, it seems like Endo is kind of more efficient. But if you go and you look at some of these passing stats down here for Zubimendi, you'll see that while obviously his long passing is at 70%, just under 70%, his medium and short is just around the 90 mark. So I'm imagining him coming into Liverpool as like a bit of a metronome DM, similar to maybe someone like Thiago without the range. Maybe he could develop that. Aerially, that could help a lot as well. It's just kind of like sudden to me that we are linked to him. Obviously, he had been at the Euros with Spain, so that makes sense that it would kind of extend the whole kind of transfer process of this if we ever did have like a legitimate interest in this. But maybe it's a smokescreen. It's really tough to tell with Liverpool. This is something that is still kind of breaking. Within the last couple of hours, this is broken. So I'm here trying to kind of dissect and parse through a lot of it. As of right now, I think he is a genuine target. His contract expires in June 2027, so he's got 3 years on his deal. It's not going to be a cheap deal, but for the player profile, I think it could be something that could genuinely benefit Liverpool. So who knows? I'm excited to see if this does go through. The player agency could possibly play a role in it, considering Richard Hughes' links to the agency and the links to his experience and relationship with Andoni Iraola, who is obviously a client of the agency. So a lot of question marks. Tough to say still. No news yet on Mamardashvili. No news, obviously, yet on Zubimendi, at least to my knowledge. Maybe by the time I upload this, he's already signed or something. But this does remind me a bit of the Dominic Szoboszlai deal, where it was sudden. We were like, that probably won't happen. But it just did. And maybe he comes in within the next few days. If this is like a credible link, I would imagine he comes in within the next few days, knowing how Liverpool operates. So there's just still a lot of question marks. If Liverpool go out and say sign Zubimendi and then sign maybe Mamardashvili, I don't think that's enough. I think that's maybe enough to get like fourth. But in terms of like going out and really improving the squad, I think we need at least Zubimendi and either a center back or a right winger. I don't know. I'm still pretty confused. I just woke up and this news kind of blindsided me. So please let me know what you think of the links to Liverpool for Martin Zubimendi. Do you think he'll end up signing actually, or do you think this is just some kind of weird, concerted story from Ornstein, Joyce, and Romano to kind of throw people off of who the real DM might be? I hope it's Zubimendi. I hope we just go out and sign someone and start getting business done. I have nothing against us signing him. His profile could be maybe a bit better. I mean, from a goal scoring position, it's fine, but that's not really what I'm concerned with for a DM. So I'd want to know what you guys think about him as a player. There's probably someone in the comments that has watched him play way more than I have. I've really only watched him play at the Euros and only partially a few times for Real Sociedad. So please let me know in the comments, what do you think of this link? Do you think that there is a good chance that this happens? And if it does happen, do you think that this is a move that will benefit Liverpool in the long run, or do you think this is possibly going to be a flop in the future? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sideline Sedo. Peace.